Introducing Ismaily SC, one of Egypt's oldest clubs, founded in 1921. A team with real history, Egyptian 3-times league winners, and the honour of being the first Egyptian club to ever win the African Champions League back in 1969. Fast forward to FM26 and Ismaily are fighting for survival. A thin squad, a relegation battle, and a transfer embargo until 2027. I have 3 objectives for this rebuild. Build a squad with at least half the first team homegrown at club, win the Egyptian Premier League, and bring Ismaily their second African Champions League. And with the quality of the youth intakes this team produces, I think that this squad could be something special. We're diving into one of the newest leagues to play in Football Manager. Let's see how we get on. This video is sponsored by Huel. Use code WTS10 in the link down in the description to get £10 off your first order. And here we are. Welcome to Egypt. Of course, the Egyptian Premier League, one of 3 new divisions added in FM26. And as indicated by the season preview, Ismaily here, a team that have kind of fallen on hard times. Club vision for the current season, attempt to avoid relegation. The bottom 4 teams get relegated. And, I don't want to get relegated. It would be embarrassing. Now, you join me here on the eve of the new season. We are ready to play our first game. But before we play it, of course, normally I'd go, here's all the transfers I've made. There's no transfers, though, is there? Yeah, as we've already established, this team has a transfer embargo until Friday, the 31st of December, 2027. I can't make any signings for a few seasons. If there is perhaps a crumb of comfort here, though, it has to be our facilities. Great training facilities, good youth facilities, excellent youth recruitment, and adequate academy coaching too. I'm going to hope that the intakes of the first couple of seasons, on top of the prospects already at the club, are going to be good enough to keep us afloat. Now, speaking of the first team, there are a few pillars to our team. The first is Mohamed Al-Hassan. The 32-year-old is a really athletic centre-mid, one of the best players at our team, unfortunately with 4 dribbling. Not really sure how he's going to use that pace when he's on the ball. We have a veteran goalkeeper in Ahmed Adel as well, 38 years old, immense, comfortably our best goalie, obviously primary concern. He's 38, he's going to retire soon, and the alternatives in goal are not nearly as good. And naturally, when it comes to a save game like this, we need a goal scorer. And that man, I think, is going to be Khaled Al-Nabris. This guy is a Palestinian 22-year-old, 14 finishing, 14 first touch, 14 pace, and some really nice determination. He's only got 1 year left on his current deal. I'm going to need to remedy that quickly. I think he might be my main hope for the first few years when it comes to goals. Beyond that, when it comes to the first team, it's a little uninspiring. Due to the fact we're going to be a massive underdog this year, we are going to be operating a 4-2-4 with tracking wingers. I want to try and be difficult to break down, hit teams on the break. Our 2 centre-mids will drop deeper when we don't have the ball. And while I don't think we're going to have a lot of possession this year, in terms of instructions, we're looking to absorb pressure and then break quickly. Lower defensive line, regroup. We will trigger presses on occasion and get stuck in. But as the visualizer indicates, yeah, we're going to have lots of players behind the ball. In possession, bypassing the press, passing into space. No long shots, please. Lower crosses as well. We don't really have an aerial threat, and it is going to be super direct, high-tempo football. There are a couple of youngsters I'd love to integrate into the team this year. The first is Anwar Abdal Salam. This guy, 19 years old, a decent striker, but with only 7 finishing. I think we're going to try him as a false 9 this year. 18-year-old centre-mid Conter might be a candidate to play at centre-mid alongside Hassan, but with 6 passing, he's certainly not a playmaker type. And last but not least, the youngest member of our first team is Al-Nagawi. This guy, 17 years old, right attacking mid, 15 finishing. I'm going to try and cut it inside as an inside forward and see what he can do. Admittedly, he's not the fastest player in the wide areas. So before we find out if we can turn Ismaily into a powerhouse of Egyptian football yet again, I need to show you the thing that's been fueling me through this rebuild and keeping me upright. That is Huel Black Edition. I've been using Huel Black Edition for around a month now, and it's ideal on recording days like today. I sit rebuilding, playing 10 plus hours of Football Manager, and I'll level with you, I sometimes forget to actually eat a meal. My favourite flavour right now is strawberry and banana, and let me tell you, it tastes like if FM26 didn't have any bugs. This is what I imagine it'd be like. It's got 40 grams of protein, 26 vitamins and minerals, is gluten-free and low in sugar. So if you're someone who wants to keep calories under control but not crash midway through your Football Manager sessions, I think this is the solution. And if you want to try Huel today, you can get £10 off using the code WTS10. There's a direct link in the description or in the pinned message, as well as the code if you just need to copy and paste it. So whilst I go and set up training for my entire youth team, you can scan the QR code on screen right now and check out Huel for yourself. Thank you to Huel for sponsoring today's video. Anyway, we are going to dive into the start of Season 1, the first of 2.5, where we can't sign anyone. I need those youngsters to develop. How about this for a first game in charge? 1-0 we won against Smua, and it was a Zidane goal from a Hassan cross in the end. A game that lacked quality. The striker super sub on off the bench made the difference. From there, I'm going to be honest, the form does not look good, does it? Yeah, it's really not been good. We had arguably the two hardest games 2 days apart in the league season. Away against Pyramids, away against Al Ahly, to the giants of Egyptian football. The first game, a 2-0 defeat. Yeah, not ideal this one. 2 goals inside the first 20 minutes, and we really didn't muster up much of a response. And from there, Al Ahly, the reigning champions who started the season slowly, beat us 1-0 to make it 10 unbeaten for them. And I wish there was some positives to take. We didn't even have a shot on target in this match, and that now makes it 5 games without a goal being scored for us. Despite all of that, though, we are currently in 11th place with a couple of games in hand on teams around us. What I will say is we have 13 goals scored in 14 games, which is the lowest in the league. Our saving grace is we have the 4th best defence. Now, the way the Egyptian season works is it's a 20-game season initially, and then we split and have a relegation group and a championship group. Only the top 7 teams play in the championship group, so being realistic, we're going to be scrapping it out with all the not-so-good teams. Not going to be much of a surprise, the player with the highest average rating right now is our goalkeeper. Anyway, the season is still rather young. I'll come back when the split has occurred. And, well, hopefully we've started to score goals. I mentioned a desire to score goals, didn't I? Oof. I don't know what else to say. Oof is all I can think of saying. Look at this month of February. We did not score a goal in any league games in February. And all of a sudden, we are just 4 points above the drop. The split's about to happen, so theoretically we should now have some easier games. I think for this next run of matches, I'm going to change the mentality from cautious to balanced. We've been trying to play this kind of counter-attacking style of play, but it's just not producing the goals that we need. In some good news, though, Conta is up to 7 passing, so that is the only positive I have at the moment. That, and I suppose also the fact we've got 4 points from our last 2 games. It's the little things. I mentioned that youth intakes are going to be really important initially. We have had our first preview, and apparently there's a very exciting attacking midfielder and maybe a centre-back as well. Obviously, it's not the craziest of intakes, but because we can't sign anyone that I can get who can just jump into the first team would be much appreciated. Despite everything, though, the board have actually given me a B- right now, and they're pleased with our general progress. I've not talked about the domestic cups. There's the Egyptian Cup, which is like a knockout tournament, and then the League Cup, which is a group stage thing that turned into a tournament. We're not going to be competitive in those for a while, I don't think. Anyway, we've got 13 games left of the league season. Wish me luck. Well, when I left you going into the end of season running, I kind of had a couple of okay results, and from there we started off great. Draws, wins, then April happened, and we were awful. Legitimately, our saving grace was 7 points in the last 2 games of the year. The first was against Arab contractors. I have no idea how we won this game. Against Harris Al Hadoud, we managed to get a crucial point. I thought we'd got all 3. Conta, the youngster, popped up with a really nice goal for us, but they snatched 2 points back late, which meant going into the final day, we were not safe. And that team we had to play on the final day of the season, Ismaily Electricity. They were in the relegation zone. And this game was a nervy one, 0-0 till the 94th minute, where Hamdi grabbed a back post header to make it 1-0. If they'd scored with that last highlight, we would have gone down. As it stood, a draw would have been enough. I didn't know that at the time. And in fact, the teams we played in the penultimate and final game of the season ended up being relegated. Look at this league table. Our inability to score was a problem. Defensively, we were actually okay, but 37 points from 33 games was very nearly not enough. Top goal scorer for us this season was Al Nabris. I mentioned the fact this man was going to be important. He has signed a new 4-year deal on £3,000 a week. He's improved a little bit as well. Admittedly, 7 goals from your top goal scorer. It's not the craziest return. He's also asking to leave to go to a bigger club, so suboptimal is probably the best way to describe things at the moment. Naturally, in this kind of save game, especially whilst we're under this embargo, I don't really want to sell anyone, including Addons in goal, who thankfully hasn't announced he's going to retire yet, so I think we've got his services for another year. The 39-year-old goalie had a 6.86 rating in the league, which I'll be honest, when you look at that and the fact he got 4 player of the matches, it doesn't seem very good. Would you believe me if I told you that average rating for him of 6.87 was the best in our team? That is a damning indictment, isn't it, of how bad we were this year. Al Nagari, of course, the youngster. He was the youngest player in our team. I've played him a load this year, 29 appearances. He rewarded me with 2 goals and 2 assists. He has developed a little bit. I am questioning whether or not he's actually ready to play regular minutes, though. I feel like maybe I'm being a bit harsh on myself. Yeah, I'm not overly pleased with the fact we were so close to going down. But at the end of the day, the board wanted us to attempt to avoid relegation. We've got a B-. I suppose my concern here is I can't really immediately improve the team with signings. But maybe, just maybe, we can with our youth intake, because there is a really good player here. Yosri. He could be our big hope. 15 years old, great little bit of flair. Bit concerned that he's ambitious. That's maybe going to hinder his development. But in terms of current ability, he's great. He is naturally a centre attacking mid. I think we're going to train him to play out in the wider areas. I think that makes the most sense given the system that we play. But I think I might end up expediting his progress and just sticking him in the first team next year. He is without a doubt the biggest hope, but Rabia could be a useful little striker as well. 13 finishing, some much better determination on this guy. Physicals are okay, outside of his stamina and strength and his work rate. Yeah, he's going to get tired quickly with 3 stamina, isn't he? And actually, in this intake, there's one other player who I think could be useful sooner rather than later. Walid Mohammed, 15 years old, left attacking mid, kind of just has a well-rounded mould for a winger, but no super standout attributes. I guess the one exception might be his technique. Professional personality could improve. Maybe we should be keeping an eye on him. It is worth noting that our club balance right now sits at £2.9 million. We've actually made a load of money this year. In Egypt, the top division is like £5 million in TV money. I am shocked it's that high, but I'm not going to complain. You can see here in the vision, maintain the best youth system in the country. I think that is going to be essential. So maybe I do look to reinvest some of this into the facilities and just keep them at that top level. Overall, though, I definitely judge this as a successful first season. We didn't get fired. We didn't get relegated. Going into season 2, I've got a long post-season. It's like 4 months off in this division. Loads of time to train the players, get them prepared, and dust ourselves off for season 2. Well, I said I wanted to improve the facilities. Good news. Plan G facilities work and trading facilities work approved by the board. That is going to be starting now and hopefully wrapping up by March 2027. That's still a little way away, isn't it? The bank balance at the club is looking significantly emptier with that deal done. And some additional news as well, which for whatever reason, Football Manager 26 doesn't want to show me on this screen. We're actually planning a new stadium, which I'm hoping isn't going to cost us too much. If it does, well, I'm going to hope that we've got a loan to cover things. Now, the plan for Season 2, much like last year, is simply stay up. These first few seasons are just about survival, hopefully developing some of the younger players. Board expectation is still just attempt to avoid relegation. This year, things are a little bit different. There is now a different split. There's 20 teams in the league, and it's a 10-team split at the halfway point. I believe over the next few seasons, there are still going to be some format changes until we eventually get rid of the split. My ambitious aim for this year, maybe try and get top 10. That might come across as really, really ambitious and maybe arrogant, but I feel like we have this really good defensive foundation last year, and if we can just find the goals from somewhere, hopefully we're going to find ourselves in a much better spot. In terms of the tactics, not really changing anything, sticking with that balanced mentality that we pivoted to. I do think that made us better going forward. In terms of the starting 11, Conte and Al Nagawi, I am locking into the starting 11, so they will play the vast majority of the games this season. Like I said, these guys need to develop. There's some green arrows next to them. I was maybe hoping that they would improve a little bit more. I don't know. Maybe I'm just greedy. I'm just underwhelmed by their development in year one. Obviously, no signings to tell you about. No more signings for 14 more months. I'll join you at the midway point. I'm back. It's January. We're doing very, very well. We're currently 4th in the league, which is absolutely amazing. Ismaily, 23 goals, 18 conceded. Yeah, that defensive record we had has gone out the window. We only have a 5-goal difference. We are fluking things a little bit. And it is this man's superb finishing that is just carrying us. 11 goals in 12, overperforming his XG of 8. The bad news, he's injured for the next month. Definitely feel like this could derail the season. Our next highest goal scorer is Al Nagari with 3 goals. We are a bit of a one-trick pony. And if you are wondering what the difference is this year, part of it I think is the younger players maybe playing a tad better. The other is we've been very, very bloody lucky. Expected points-wise, we are the biggest overperformers in the league, and our expected points position really should be 8th, apparently. Had it not been for our recent uptick in form in the last month, we would not be as high as we are. Al Nabris has been on a different level. Got a hat-trick, actually, against Al Ittihad as well. In this game here, some really nice goals. Let me know in the comments if you've seen a better hat-trick than this one. The first shot, a long-range banger. I know what you're thinking. You can't do better than that. I'll tell you what. He can. How about that for a finish? In off the upright, crossbar, down into the bottom of the net. And from there, his third goal, just as pretty, cutting in from the right-hand side and blasting it in from point-blank range to complete a hat-trick. Very much a solo endeavour. I mentioned last year the cup competition's not really been a focus this year. I'd love to go on a run this year. We've got the Egypt Cup kind of coming up, where we've been drawn against some random non-league team. Should be winning that one easily, even without our kind of main man. I will say, in terms of the upcoming opponents, Zamalek, Al Ahly and Pyramids, not particularly kind fixtures to be doing without our main striker. Anyway, I'm going to join you guys at the split in the season. I think that is 7 games away. Hopefully, we're still as high as 4th. I'll tell you what, it's not been a convincing couple of months, but we have clung on for a championship spot in the split. We have finished 9th, which at the halfway point, I think is quite good. Remember the Egypt Cup? Yeah, we're not in this competition anymore. Remember that non-league team? Yeah, they beat us 1-0. A header in off the crossbar early doors was the difference maker, and despite a lot of pressure, we just couldn't find a goal. And I mean, look at this form. It has been nothing short of tragic. I've won 1 game since you were last here, and Al Nabris has scored 1 goal in that time, even when he's come back from injury. He's just not been the same. I mean, performance-wise, he is comfortably the best player in our team in terms of rating. He's just doing it himself. I mean, he is literally the definition of, fine, I'll do it myself. He's just not been able to do it on his own lately. I mean, at the end of the day, we are still in the top half. We can't finish lower than 10th now because of how the split system works. Tactically, not changing things up too much, but given the fact it's a bit of a free hit now this second half of the year, I am going to make an effort to play Rabia, who we got in last year's youth intake and has actually improved quite a lot. And also Yosri, who actually recently has picked up a little bit of an injury, but if we can get this guy firing, I think he could be an absolute star boy. Forcing him to play out on the left-hand side, you can see I've trained him to play both wings, just to try and give him as much opportunity to feature in the first team. I've got such high hopes for this guy. It is a bit of a weird season now because it's kind of gone, well, from good to bad quite quickly, and because of the way this split works, we're going to be playing against all the teams above us. I'm going to go take my spanking like a good little boy, and yeah, we'll come back at the start of June. All I'm going to say is, look at the top right. Yeah, the second half of the season really is a matter of perspective. We won 1 game of the 9 games in the championship split, but we were unbeaten in 6, so unbeaten in 6, that's the positive. The only win we got was against Al Gaish, but if I want to find a crumb of comfort, Rabia got his first ever goal for the club. Was it a banger? No, it's arguably the worst goal you're going to see in football match this year. It was literally a gift, where they just passed it to him in the first minute. He scored the youngster. That is the only goal he's scored all year. So, not great. And bizarrely, actually, with all the draws that we got, we ended up finishing 7th in the championship group. Sadly, it's the league stage where it matters, where, well, we still finished 8th. Somehow we moved up during the championship stage. Our goal difference also, +1. I'm not going to pretend we play entertaining football, but 4th best defence in the league? That's got to be worth something, right? Probably also worth pointing out at this point, in case you haven't realised, Zamalek, Al Ahly and Pyramids just they shared the league title amongst themselves. It's basically a big three and then everyone else getting whooped all year. Now, I did mention there was a stadium in the planning stages at the start of the year. That has now been confirmed, and we have got a loan secured to finance the project. That's a relief because the bank balance is not looking particularly healthy at £145,000. The stadium going to take a little while to build, so we're not going to get too excited about this just yet, but something to look forward to. And something else to look forward to, I suppose, is the prospects for this coming year, because we have an immense centre-back, I think, in Mahmoud Nagy, 15 years old, 11 jumping reach, 14 heading is nice, really well-rounded player. Kind of got lead in his boots and not the quickest, but we are kind of devoid of much centre-back talent, so I think I'm going to end up playing him quite a lot. Behind him, it's a little barren. I suppose there's a couple of defensive mid options here I could look to promote. When I kind of show you the first team here and the list of positions, it becomes quite apparent. We don't have a whole lot of defensive mids, but I can't sort that out until January. And you might have spotted it at the top. Adel, our goalie, is retiring. This man was actually really important for us this year in terms of just stopping conceding goals. He made a lot of saves, and I asked him to reconsider. He told me to do one, and I don't know what we do without him, because I can't sign a new goalie until January. I mean, admittedly, he's dropped off a little bit. Gamal is probably the go-to goalie. The other option would be Marus, who at 21 is not a bad option, but neither of them are at the level that I really require. Al Nabris, by the way, really fell off after his injury. 12 goals was our highest amount. An unlikely hero, actually, and Abdel Samir popped up with a lot of goals. He's been really the go-to option as a backup striker and centre mid, and he's been a really useful player. And if you were wondering about Yosri, who I'm going to continue to big up because he's bloody brilliant, he's improved a little bit. In terms of performances, he did score in the Premier League and get 3 assists, but the 6.57 rating probably indicates I am rushing him a bit into the first team. Anyway, you know the deal by now. I've got the massive long off-season. We don't play any games for like 4 months here in Egypt. It's kind of wild, the season. It starts late, it ends what feels like kind of early. I'm going to hope we can survive till January without a great goalie option. Okay, well, it is the start of season number 3, and one thing I've not really mentioned is that whilst we are under a transfer embargo, that doesn't mean I can't sell players. I've tried to sell some players. There's not really been interest in any of them. And in fact, when we joined the team, there was all these different players in there, like kind of late teens, early 20s, that weren't quite good enough for our first team, but had questionable potential. I've not really been able to get rid of any of them, despite trying to sell them, including, to be fair, Zidane, who scored our first ever goal for the club in our opening win back in season 1. But yeah, all these players have contracts expiring at the end of the year. That will free up a little bit of wages. And with our embargo ending at the end of this calendar year, I am going to be able to get into the market sooner rather than later. One interesting thing to note, my recruitment budget, I've got a transfer budget of £5 million and loads of wages free. I don't know why the wage budget is that high. I have a sneaking suspicion it probably has something to do with the fact I've not done anything transfer-wise in so long and the game's a bit confused. Given our overall balance is less than £1 million, probably not in my interest to go out and actually spend that $5 million when I can. In terms of first team news, there's a couple of the youngsters in the team that I am going to lock into the starting 11, so they feature a lot this year as we simulate forward. Rabia, I want to give minutes to in the final third. The 17-year-old does look like a good little striking option. I'm going to hope his 13 finishing can turn up trumps. And that will mean that Al Nabris moves to play on the left side as a false 9, which, to be honest, is a role that suits him pretty well. Elsewhere, we've got Yosri on the left and Al Nagari out on the right. Al Nagari, I think his pace and acceleration have gone up by 1 each over the last 2 years. It's not exactly inspiring. There was a little bit of interest in him to loan him out. Naturally, that makes absolutely no sense given our predicament. And you may have also spotted at centre-back, Nagy, the 16-year-old who came through the intake last summer. I am thrusting into the first team. This 16-year-old, I think, is going to be a really big talent. The goalie position is kind of up for grabs, but to be honest, I think Marus is going to be the man who is our number 1 this year. He is just a better option than Gamal at a younger age. This is one of the areas in the team where I feel like we do just need to go out and sign someone ASAP, though. Last year, goalkeeping saved us. I don't know if we're going to be that lucky this year. There are a few other younger players that I've promoted to the senior team, mostly just to train with the senior team, but they might get some minutes here and there. I think an aim for this year is really to build upon last season. and maybe try and make the championship split again as a top half team, whilst also trying to integrate these younger players. The board are still happy with our leadership at a B+, but in terms of the expectations for this year, maybe they know something I don't, because they are still just saying, try not to get relegated, and then kind of giving me a little thumbs up. I want to try and be more ambitious than that. Last year, we finished 8th. I suppose another thing that would be good this year is to just go on a cup run. I've not really acknowledged either of these competitions because we've not done a lot in them. I think it's going to be a while before we challenge in the Premier League, but you know what? Like a cup quarter-final, a cup semi-final, that would be kind of nice. I'm going to jump straight into Season 3. I'm probably going to come back midway through January. Let's see what I get up to. There's 2 awful things that have happened, and I don't know which is worse or which to start with. Okay, let's start with the league. We're in the relegation zone. Yeah, we're in the relegation zone. 1 win in 11 games. 1 win in 11. I know what you're thinking, Jack, there can't be something much worse than this. Remember Yosri, youngster? Yeah, he's injured. Obviously, he's 17 now. Was actually improving a little bit as well. I know what you're thinking. He can't be injured that badly. Try 10 to 15 months. Like, that is literally a career-ruining injury for the 17-year-old. And I've put a lot of stock into this guy. I've maybe sacrificed this season to kind of give players like this a chance. And I've been repaid by him getting injured for the next calendar year. I'm fine. We actually drew our very first game of the season against Pyramids. I thought we were on to something. From there, 1 win. But it was a comeback. Yeah, against Ghazal Al Mahala, they had a sending off whilst they were 2-1 up. And in the second half, we made a comeback. Yeah, look, let's celebrate. We won again. Conter, with an effort through some traffic, made it 2-2. And from there, Al Nabris with an amazing finish. The first touch as well, the ball was threaded through to him in the air. He took it down with a deft touch. Composure shown, and it got us a win. And that is the only positive I have over the last 2 months. Despite how dreadful everything is going, somehow we're only on a C- for the board happiness, which I'm actually shocked it's that high. It does say in the bottom left they are concerned in the performance feedback area. I just realised, can I do a team meeting? Let's do a team meeting now. Don't let that last result affect you too much. We've been in good form. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know why I've said that, really. Okay, well, that's gone dreadfully. I mean, Al Nabris is our top goal scorer with 3 goals. We've not scored enough. Part of me's thinking, do we just go on attacking mentality? We might lose a few more games, but if we can just win a few more, that's going to be what we need. I mean, look, draws are lovely. We need to start scoring goals is basically the issue. We're lacking a goal scorer. We're also lacking a particularly good goalie. The minutes have been split between the 2 players that we have. To put it bluntly, they have both been cack. We're in danger of going down. To be honest, I probably need to just clear the selection here and not play the young players. I know I wanted this year to be a year of kind of development. At this point, it's about saving the job. Once we get past the League Cup games, these remaining games are maybe slightly kinder. So with the right additions, maybe we can get back to winning ways. We've not got to play any of the big boys in the league in this next kind of 2 months. Hopefully I'm feeling a bit more positive when we get to the split in the season. The only thing keeping me happy right now is the fact that the delegated to staff icon looks like a little man with a mustache. Can you see that? That is what's keeping me going right now. It feels illegal. I can go to the transfer history screen for the first time in this video. There's actually stuff to show you. We did spend a fair amount of money in the end. First signing we made is Kelvin Akimola, Nigerian 22-year-old striker. Some nice athleticism, 14 acceleration pace, great natural fitness, pretty good jumping reach as well. And actually, with 14 heading, I thought he'd be more of a threat than he has been. So I got the striker I wanted. I did also get a goalie in. I looked for Egyptian imports just because there is a foreign player limit in the league that I need to be aware of, although we're not close to hitting it yet. In the end, we've gone with Nasser Ali here. He has been a decent little pickup. He's got 1 clean sheet in 6 games, only 9 goals conceded. He's just got good handling and some decent kicking, and without a direct counter-attacking style of play, that distribution can be useful. In terms of what else he's good at, I mean, he can jump high. I'm not going to pretend he's some world-class goalie. he's a lot better than what we already had. And well, on top of the foreign imports, we did also make one local import, a player who has 3 yellow cards in 6 games already, but he's also been one of our best performers this season. It's Noor Ashraf, 19 years old. We signed him for a pretty penny from ENPPI. 150k paid for this guy. He wasn't really playing for them, but at 19, with 18 jumping reach, great aggression and bravery and some decent heading, I'm thinking set-piece battering ram and all-round good guy is the role of this man. He is a giant, he's young, got potential. Obviously, we've paid some big money for him. Based on his valuation, I feel like we've got a bargain. And I think it's safe to say when you look at our form since January, we have kind of picked things up, especially in the league through February. We've done well, and I don't want to jinx it, we're in the quarterfinals of the Egyptian Cup. Yeah, could we go on a cup run? That'd be good, wouldn't it? I mentioned Nakamola and his goals. His arrival really coincided with this turnaround. Our second win of the season came against Ceramica Cleopatra, and he opened up the goal scoring. Admittedly, a flurry of late goals decided this game, but we did win it. And also, Rabia getting 2 goals in this game was nice as well. Maybe Akimola is just going to make the players around him that little bit better. Rabia here is actually improving a lot. I definitely want to keep him in and around the first team. Naturally, now that we've got Akimola and also Al Nabris, who is still at the team and still not really firing on all cylinders, I do feel like Rabia's minutes are going to now just be a little bit more limited. But right now, he is still our second top goal scorer. Despite winning 3 of our last 5 games, though, we aren't exactly clear from danger just yet. We're 15th going into the split, whereby we're obviously going to play the teams in and around us. I'm going to keep on this attacking mentality that we have pivoted to. I mean, we've won 3 matches since I was here in January, so as far as I'm concerned, things have picked up when it comes to our league form. We're 5 points clear of the teams at the bottom. I think we're going to be okay now. I hope. Have also had our youth intake preview, an A for a winger, an A for a striker. What better reason to want to get to the end of the season ASAP? Yeah, don't go anywhere. I think we're going to be fine with the additions we've made, but I just want to find out if this intake's good. Well, how about this for a league table? Last year we finished 8th with a goal difference of 1. Season 3, 13th. Goal difference of 0. As for the Egyptian FA Cup, we made it all the way to the semi-final. We took on National Bank, who we'd beaten in the league 4-0 just a few weeks before, and they beat us 1-0. And I feel like it was a very, very harsh result. I think overall, though, given how we finished the first half of the season, the turnaround just to comfortably avoid the drop was the most important thing. If you are now wondering, Jack, why are we back and it's the 10th of October in 2028? Can I be honest with you? I forgot to save the game at the end of last season. So I'm just at the start of Season 4, awkwardly recapping things. Definitely did give up some defensive solidity in that last half of the season, but I do think it was worth it. You can see here a couple of 4-0 wins, a 3-2 win on the final day against Modern Sports, and Al Nabris picked up so many goals in this latter part of the season. He ended up with 16 goals and 7 assists in all competitions, and despite a really slow start to the year, had his second best season so far in terms of goals, and if you really want to be technical, in terms of average ratings, his best season by 0.01. Ashraf, who we signed at centre-back, was absolutely top drawer as well. He really, really made a difference. And did also start to develop a little bit of a partnership with Nagy, the young centre-back. We played him for a lot of last year. He was one of the few youngsters that I really didn't drop like a stone after the slow start to the year. Admittedly, he didn't perform amazingly on the pitch, but in terms of his development, I don't feel like he's that crazy or an inclusion in our starting 11 this year. Al Nagari, the right midfielder, who I really bigged up, he was our first young hope when we first joined the club. He had his best season so far. He had 10 goal contributions through 26 league appearances. And Akimola definitely benefited from us going onto the front foot and playing the more attacking system for that last half of the year. We're not counter-attacking going into the new season. We're playing an attacking mentality. I have made some changes for Season 4. There is a reason for that, and that is because of new additions to the team. I mentioned all those young players that I wanted to get rid of at the start of Season 3. Loads of them have now been released. We've reinvested into the squad. Falou Mbaye is one of the first players we've picked up. 20 years old, Senegalese defensive midfielder. Great first touch, great tackling, passing, positioning, work rate. He was available as a free transfer, having been released by Oslo FA in Senegal. And he is just an absolutely mad pickup for us. Having picked up a goalie and a striker, I really did feel like this year was about kind of getting some players into the centre of the midfield, because that had been a problem area. So alongside Mbaye, we've also picked up Bandama here, 22 years old. I have spent a lot of money on this guy. We signed him from Arab contractors who were relegated last year for £750,000. Yeah, it's a lot of money. They are going to be at the heart of the team, changing up what was a channel midfielder to be a midfield playmaker for Bandama. Worth noting, Bandama can't play as a defensive midfielder, so our outer position shape is changing. But I do think in these two centre mids, we have just some real quality to take games by the scruff of the neck. And it is with that in mind that in terms of instructions, rather than be on direct passing, we're going down to standard. The reason for that being is when you've got two amazing passers in the centre of the midfield, if you're going super direct, then just not going to get on the ball quite as much. And by going on standard, I'm hoping that's going to force the play just through them that tiny bit more. We did make one other signing, Hagag, an 18-year-old centre-back we picked up for peanuts as far as I'm concerned. Has some great heading, marking and tackling ability, great positioning as well. He's one of these centre-backs who's kind of got the raw ability. He just can't really run. We've picked him up for £40,000, yet to play in the Premier League. I'm sure he will get some minutes this year. I have just remembered having recited the 3 new signings. There was, of course, a youth intake. There was one standout player last year. He's in the first team. He's at the top of the list. It's Abdallah Samir, 16 years old, yet to play for the team just yet, because our youth intake happens at the end of the season. But this guy looks great. 16 years old, left attacking mid, left mid, has great acceleration and pace, has some decent passing, half-decent vision, good flair, and I'm kind of excited by him. I'm going to hope that this guy can kick on quite a bit. He might be the best player to come for our intake since Yosri, who, if you were wondering, is still injured, although his recovery has actually been pretty good. I think he's only going to miss 11 months, which compared to that 10 to 15 months we were told, means he has gotten the mend quickly. Board expectation for the season is still to attempt to avoid relegation. I think with the additions we've made, that is a mentally low just expectation. We should be doing way better than that. I know last year we struggled. I feel like that was a little bit of a one-off year, and if we do just look at the media prediction to start the year, we're up in 11th. Worth noting, the league is now down to just 18 teams. Yeah, every year we've been losing a team. I think this is the league in its final form. I'm not going to pretend to be an expert on Egyptian football, but if we go to the rules, yeah, there is no longer a split. That does mean I have to play the likes of Pyramids, Zamalek and Al Ahly 2 times a season in the league. And that's less exciting. I mean, we no longer have a split anymore, so I think we're going to come back in January, maybe when I've got some transfer dealings underway, and then I guess we'll just return towards the end of the season. Okay, it is the 7th of January. I've done some transfers already in this window, but before we get into those, look at the league table. We are up in 7th, and to be honest, well, we're only 4 points off Pyramid in second. Just ignore the fact that we've played 3 more games than them. Yeah, the big dogs towards the top I think are still going to be a bit of a reach for us, but we're having arguably our best season ever. In terms of goals, we've scored the 3rd most in the league, and in terms of our defence, okay, it's a little less impressive, but it's still the 8th best defence in the league. It turns out I can't count and it's actually the 9th best defence, but don't let that ruin the facts. I feel like it is tradition that I come back for these updates in January and there's an injury. Nasrali, our goalie, is out for 4 to 6 weeks. That is a little bit of a concern because he's been a really solid player this year. 5 clean sheets in 15, a 7.01 rated for him has been superb. But as you might suspect from where we are in the league, it's not just been the goalie who's been performing. Attacking-wise, we've been great too. Al Nabris, 7 goals in 13 games is great. Akin Mola, 10 goals in 16 league appearances. He was a bit of a slow burn last year. He has really found his stride going into this new season. And a player who I've not really mentioned, I don't think, at any point during this rebuild in Ali Al-Malawani, the 29-year-old winger, has also been pretty useful. He's got 5 goals and 5 assists. He's this really loyal servant to the club who's just never been given any kind of limelight. I suppose when you look at his performances over the last few years, you can maybe see why that's been the case. But this year, he's legitimately been really, really valuable. Now, unfortunately, there won't be the repeat of an Egyptian Cup semi-final this year. We crashed out against Pyramids. To be fair, we took them to penalties. Al Nabris scored the opening goal for us. Our strikers linking up, Akin Mola turning provider. And obviously, Pyramids being one of the best teams, we knew we were going to be on the back foot. They had a short corner just before the hour mark that they worked in. And it was Dahoudi who scored for them. From there, they ratcheted up the pressure. We held strong defensively. It went to the shootout. And Bandama, the £750,000 man, the only player who failed to score in the shootout. I don't want to throw him completely under the bus, because obviously I spent a lot of money on him. But, yeah, he's not been great. I will say, though, that to draw 1-1 against Pyramids in the Cup and feel disappointed is a really positive sign. They are one of the giants of modern Egyptian football. They've won the Champions League of Africa twice. In fact, if we look at the past winners here, you can see they have been right up there, winning it the last couple of years. Has been dominated by Egypt mostly, but over the last couple of years, the Tunisian teams have arrived. So maybe something to be wary of there. But the fact that I'm disappointed by drawing against Pyramids and losing on penalties, I think is just a little indicator that we are kind of finding a higher level now. Before I talk about the transfers I have made, bow your head, moment of silence. Conte, the centre mid, who started with 6 passing and got it all the way up to the dizzying heights of 8, is probably going to leave the club. It's just not quite hit that level I hoped he might when we first started our time here. So I have gone a little bit mad in January. We have spent another £700,000 across 3 transfers. The first is Kabaka, free transfer, Egyptian centre mid, a little bit of depth. To be honest, he is the reason that Conte is probably on his way out. He is just a straight up much better option for us and happy to sign as an impact sub. Barakat is a little bit of a signing for the future. I'll probably have him training with the first team, but he's an 18-year-old Egyptian striker. We picked him up for £135,000. It's not a small amount of money. I need to see a return on the pitch eventually. Doesn't necessarily have to be this year, but with his potential, I've got high hopes. And the last man we've signed is Abdul Bar, where we spent £600,000 on him. It is worth noting there are some fairly strict rules here when it comes to Egyptian squad registration. I mentioned earlier the foreign player limit. You're allowed a maximum of 5 foreign players over 21. You're allowed 3 further players who are under 21 and foreign. But Mbai, who we have signed at defensive mid, will be turning 21 next year. And I assume at that point, he will be one of the options too. Of the 5 player slots, that is. We've got 4 of them used up. Bar is player number 4, and I look at him with his 17 acceleration, some decent pace, and I think just a really good right wing back. We've not really had a right back that's been standout. It's weird at left back. We've had Sukar for the last 4 years. I feel like I've not mentioned him. I feel a bit bad for that because he's actually been a really vital part of the team. Yeah, he's not spectacular, but he has played a damn lot amount of football for us, and for our team, he's just been an ever-present part of the team. Yeah, you know what? I'm giving him his flowers. This is his moment. I'm hoping Bar is going to be the right-back equivalent who maybe does offer a little bit more going forward, given the money that I have paid for him. When I look at our team now, I'm pretty happy with the core of it. The 2 new centre mids at Mbai and Bandama have kind of done exactly what we wanted them to do. Up top, we've got Al Nabris, who has been here from the beginning and just continues to deliver. He is kind of going in now to his final 18 months of his contract. I need to try and get him to renew it. But he has found a strike partner that we didn't really have for the first couple of years in Akin Mola, and together they are making magic happen. At the defence, I mentioned Sukar at left back and Bar at right back. Ashraf, who we signed midway through last year, has been really, really solid. 7.19 rating for him in the league is superb. And Nagy, who came through our youth intake, might be the most successful player to come through our intake so far. Not the quickest, not the most physical, but a really good defender. The boy is still 17 as well. And it is worth noting that if I just sort the first team by age, there is this kind of core of players, some of which we've signed, some of which that have come through the youth intake, that we are continuing to feature in the team where we can and just rotate around. Someone like Nasri here, I don't even think I mentioned him when he came through our intake. He's been really valuable as that backup right back and left back option. Hagag, who we signed at the start of the year, has kind of hit the ground running, just being that third choice centre back, which I think is a testament to how good he is. And Yosri has featured in the Cup. I would like to give him a few more minutes if I can. I mean, he's now finally back from injury. I'm so sad he was injured for a year, though, because it has hurt him. And Samir, to be fair, who came through last year's youth intake, is another player contesting that left attacking mid-spot. The 16-year-old has made 4 starts in the league, 3 sub-appearances. He's got 2 assists to his name. It's nothing spectacular, but he is at least showing a little bit of promise. I don't know if you can tell, I really feel like this season is now everything coming together a little bit more. We've been able to make transfers, kind of start to build a team around Al Nabris, who's been here through thick and thin. And whilst I feel like it's going to be a good few years before we're targeting that African Champions League I want to win and breaking into the top 3, I think over the next couple of seasons, it's all about being best of the rest. There's no split to come back for. We've only played 13 games of the league season. I'm going to come back at the end of May and hope that we've not really lost any momentum. That's the hope. We've played a whole load of Football Manager in today's video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Because you stuck around to the end, There's a little treat coming up, but not before we discuss this. We are 4th in the Premier League. Yeah, admittedly, we are 23 points behind Pyramids, who have won the title. I mean, when you look at the league history graph, yes, this season's been great. I've got to remember season 2, we finished 8th, and then we really struggled the following year. But there's no denying there is an upwards trajectory. And that is going to be underscored by the fact that we are playing in the Egyptian League Cup final against Al Ittihad. Yeah, I don't know how we've managed this either. Al Ahly and Zamalek finished behind us in the group stage. Al Ittihad, to be fair to them, did finish 5th. So this is kind of the battle of the best of the rest. And before we do get too excited, it is my duty to tell you that, as far as I'm aware, there's no continental football for winning this competition. It's just for pride. It isn't all sunshines and rainbows, though. Yes, financially, we are £2 million in the red, which is concerning. The silver lining is I've got an A+ from the board, so I feel like it's very unlikely that they're going to sack me. I mean, look, I've stuck to the budgets they set me. In fact, you know that really inflated transfer budget we had a few years ago? It's still really inflated. Obviously, Egypt is a newly added league to the game. I'm going to just chalk this up as the fact the game is kind of unfinished in its current state. And also, I'm not sure how many people are actually managing in Egypt at the moment. I will say, I have really enjoyed my time managing in this league, not just because of this form here. Look at this run throughout this year. We have been absolutely top draw. I do wish I could say in the League Cup we've had this really hard battle, but to be honest, we got kind of lucky with draws. Pyramids were knocked out by Ghazal Al Mahala, who were down in 9th, and then we managed to beat them convincingly in the semi-finals. When I look at the squad screen as well, this might be the first season so far where I can look at the average ratings and there's multiple players that have green ratings across the season. It just has been a much better team display. Akin Mola's chipped in with 23 goals. Al Nabris has 14 goals and 11 assists for him, which is a season best in terms of overall goal contributions. Rabia, who came through our youth intake, has been a dependable source of goals. And a bit of an unsung hero in the team in Abdal Samir, who I did mention a couple of years ago. He just continues to be here, just chilling out, being this great squad player for us. 7 goals, 4 assists. Not much more you can ask for from a super sub. I think if I was going to underscore any goal this year, it'd have to be Ashraf's in this game here. The centre-back. He's the big centre-back. The man we brought in for his massive forehead. Watch this finish from him. He's not meant to do that. It'd be easy to look at his 6 goals and think just set-piece weapon then. No, he has a wonderful left foot as well, I'll have you know. Anyway, the season is not over yet. We're going to get to the League Cup. I will also say you might not have noticed it. In our final league game, we actually beat Al Ittihad 3-1. I feel like we have the mental edge going into this final. It might be that the youth intakes have spoiled me a little bit. I've not got as excited about this year's. Yeah, we had some good players. Mehub is perhaps the pick of the bunch. He's a very, very good left wing back. At 15 years old, maybe he could be our second choice left back next year. And we did get a couple of strikers, one quick and one tall. Sameh here is the taller of the two with 12 heading and 15 jumping reach. Some decent technicals though. And Fuad on the other hand is a bit of a speedster, not so good in the air, although no slouch either. Not sure these guys are going to be getting near the first team anytime soon. It is time for action, the League Cup. And in terms of team news, there are a couple of our wider players that I'd love to feature in today's match missing. Al Nagari, who's been here from the beginning at right attacking mid, is unavailable, although you've rotated a little bit more this year. And what it does mean is that Yosri is back. Yeah, the 18-year-old who missed over a year of football makes his return. Playing on the right-hand side, cutting in, we'll see how he fares. He's been developing nicely and training well too. And on the left-hand side, it's another product of the Youth Academy in Samir that we are going to look towards. And in fact, it's a common trend in this team because we've also got Nagy in centre-back who came from our academy in the last few years. Naturally, this is only part 1 of this entire series where we are going to do multiple seasons at a time. Really hope you've enjoyed this approach. It does mean that in terms of storytelling, getting youth prospects into the first team, there's a bit more of an immediate payoff, and I've really enjoyed kind of playing a more hands-off approach, kind of director of football style, football manager save. You've seen the team take shape, now you get to see it on the pitch and hopefully in action, securing, well, our first bit of silverware. Not the first bit of silverware in the history of this club, mind you, but it would be the first in a long old while. We are going to be playing our attacking direct style of play. Possession is optional as far as we are concerned, although I would like more than 30%, ideally. Yassin with the ball for them at centre-back, looking to play it forward. Halal plays it to Awad in the middle, looks to play it direct through the middle. Sheriff plays it forward. Tarek! Shoots over. In fact, no. Nasralli saved that. Fair play. They've worked the ball nicely down the far side. Belmari crosses it in. Sheriff has his shot blocked by Nagy. Not loving what I'm seeing in this game so far. I mean, we've had 21% of possession, but we have had as many shots on target as them. I know we beat them in the final league game of the year. I think we have to remember, they finished 5th, we finished 4th. Their prediction at the start of the year was way higher. I think they have the better quality. They're kind of showing it here, aren't they? Out of possession, I'm going to change our defensive line to standard. I'm actually going to change our transition as well to standard too. I feel like we're being a bit too passive. Change is made. We've won the ball with Sukar, the left back, who's now going to step forward and try and get it forward. Al Nabri plays it to Samir. The 17-year-old looks to go inside. It's patient build-up play. It's nice build-up play. Al Nabris, moment of magic in the final. Can you imagine? Skips past his man. One-on-one. I don't know how I got that high pitch. He shot over. Still struggling for possession, but a slightly better response since we've made those changes. Bellamari, corner. I do not like this. I do not like this at all. Halal plays it back wide. Cut inside. Options in the middle. And, I mean, if that's a routine they've worked on the training ground, fair enough. Can we respond early doors? Bar, one of those new additions we made in January at right back. He has been a decent little threat. With that 17 acceleration, he burns past his man. He plays it into the middle. And it's Yosri with the goal. He missed a year of football. He's back on the pitch today and he scored that. A product of the academy, coming big in the cup final. Linking up with one of the new additions as well. Was it a beautiful goal? No. But sometimes you need pragmatic football. Sometimes football doesn't need to be the beautiful game. It's 1-1. Half time here. I feel like we've adapted things well. I'm going to try and be positive. Bandama looking tired. In fact, both our centre mids looking tired. Unfortunately, they're our best players on the pitch. So at least for now, they're going to have to suffer. Al Nabris is also struggling up top. This game really does come at the end of a very, very long season for our team. Okay, Bandama has run his race. He is exhausted. I'm going to bring in Kabaka, who, of course, was the man who displaced long-term servant Conte. But in terms of options on off the bench, this man has ability. I'm actually going to play him as the more defensive mid, as Mbai has slightly better passing. In terms of the rest of the team, Al Nabris up front is great. But he is so tired in this game. It's been such a long season. I'm going to bring in Rabia. He came through our academy. I have some faith in him. We'll play Akimola at false 9, I think, as well. And we've got 30 minutes to try and muster up a late goal. I feel like at this moment in time, I can't, with confidence and with a clear conscience, say we deserve to win this game. We have been second best in many different aspects. They're on the attack here. And that by Nasralli is calamitous in goal. If you lose a cup final to a shot outside the area, you want it to be one where it hits the crossbar and goes in and it's unstoppable. That looked very stoppable, didn't it? We conceded a minute ago. Why are they on the attack again here? I don't like this. And B, Awad plays it forward to Halal. Through the middle, Sheriff. I don't know how he's missed that. Sheriff with the ball. Halal. Back to Sheriff, bursting through the middle. Tarek, one-on-one. Oh my, who blocked that? I think it was Sukar, but I'm not even sure. Heroic defending. Unfortunately, when you're in a game like this and you need a goal to stay in it, it's not really heroic defending you need. You want to see heroic moments going forward. We've not seen nearly enough of them in this game here. Halal, Sheriff, and B. They are knocking the ball around so nicely. Sheriff finishes it. And I hate to say it, I think that is that. I mean, at this moment, I suppose now it's just about going more attacking, isn't it? 3 minutes and a dream. They're looking to play it out from the back, which is risky with us pressing with a front four now. Mohamed has it, gives it inside. A goal here, I start to dream. And by Yosri, Bar, the right back shoots, forces a save. I really wanted to end this part 1 with silverware. It's not going to happen at Ismaily in Season 4. We lose the Egyptian League Cup final. And to be honest, it wasn't very good, was it? We've not won the African Champions League yet. This series will not end until I do that. I hope you've enjoyed this slightly different format. I'm sorry we couldn't deliver silverware at the end. I'm not sure how their player is making the trophy levitate. Let me know down in the comments. Once again, big shout out to Huel for sponsoring this video. Check out the link with all the details down below the video. Really appreciate it. I'll see you guys next time for more. This is just sad to look at, isn't it?